Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. In this video, I want to talk about the L word. And I'm not talking about love or all the other thousands of words that start with an L. We're going to be talking about loneliness, guys. Loneliness, because, you know, as survivors of narcissistic abuse and then just human beings, you're going to experience loneliness at some point in your journey. But understanding, having a good perception of what loneliness is and what it isn't, and what it may be indicating in your life in that season or in that moment, is going to help you be able to work through that and come out of it. All right. You know, of course, I've experienced loneliness in my life, and I've spent a lot of time reflecting on that, to try to understand, you know, why do I feel so lonely? What is at the root of it? So that's what I want to talk about in this video. So ultimately, loneliness is a disconnection. When you're feeling loneliness, there's disconnection somewhere. Okay? Ultimately, an internal disconnect, but most people think about loneliness externally, as an external disconnect. For instance, I'm in a room full of people and I still feel very lonely. I have my friends and family around me, but I feel lonely still in my life right now. Or maybe the person might say, yeah, I have my friends and family, but I feel lonely because I don't have my life partner. My romantic life, it feels out of balance. I don't have that kind of love in my life, and it makes me feel lonely. I'm not partnered up. Not sharing my life in that way. So now I feel lonely. Although the other things are present, I still feel lonely. So there's a disconnect going on. So when you're feeling lonely, make that connection that, hey, I'm disconnected right now. So now you're going to figure out what you're disconnected from. You know, because loneliness will make us feel what? Oftentimes some sort of rejection, perhaps some type of abandonment. You may feel outcast, uninvited, you know, and it makes you feel alone, basically. So when you feel this loneliness, and it's a perception, and it is a feeling that you're perceiving, that's typically a negative expression that we're feeling. If people feel lonely, they're taking that as something negative and not positive. What is it that you need to reconnect to so that you're not feeling this loneliness? What is it? What is it? What are you feeling alone about? Is it a situation that you're going through that you feel like nobody else understands? Or is it that you really don't feel like you have the kind of connections in your life that you need? Because basically this loneliness is saying, I want to feel and give and love and share, and I don't feel like I'm doing that right now. I have a lack of fulfilling connections that are satisfying my emotional, maybe even physical needs at that point. So there's an imbalance in my life. It could also be, hey, I'm not comfortable with isolation. I'm not comfortable actually in solitude. I'm not comfortable with being one, because in the word loneliness is the word one. I'm not comfortable with standing on my own. I'm not comfortable in my own in my own skin, basically, in my own company. That's what I meant to say. Is that an issue that you're having? So often it's just our perception, and that's in our own mind. And it's internal things that we need to work on. Because loneliness is very subjective. What's lonely to you may not be to the next person. You know, it's a subjective thing. And then some people will internalize it and extend it to their likability. Oh, nobody likes me. You know, and that speaks to low self-esteem. But it's important to talk about this because actually loneliness, that feeling of loneliness, is actually toxic for you. It's a toxic feeling all over time. It is. And scientists have studied it. It puts you at an increase for heart disease. It puts you at an increase for stroke. It puts you at an increase for having inflammation problems. That means, you know, your injuries aren't going to be healing correctly. It's stress. It's stress. They say it's just as bad as obesity. They say at its worst, it's just as bad as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And with over 40% of adults saying that they feel loneliness, it's a big issue. And that's ironic in a society to where connections are supposed to be easier, right? And we have all these ways to connect with other people, and yet people are even more lonelier. There's more loneliness than before we had all this technology and accessibility to human beings. And that's because things have become a lot of times too fake and plastic and too on the surface. So people aren't connecting on that deeper level that they're actually longing for, the meat of it, beyond just some appetizer. So, you know, I don't want to say that it's complex, but there's layers to it, like an onion, basically. And there could be a lot of things, and you have to determine what it is in your particular situation. I'm throwing some things out. I'm throwing out some common things that it could be. Okay, so that we can increase our awareness about loneliness, you know, and the sadness that often accompanies that feeling of feeling alone, or you feel like you have no friends or family. You feel like, you know, you have no one there to support you, you know, that lack of support. You know, and then on the flip side, are you having tunnel vision? Do you actually have a lot of people around you that you want to support you, but your heart chakra is not open? Or you are stuck in your grief over another situation to where you can't even let in all the support that is around you? Are you rejecting the support that you do have because you want someone to support you that don't want to support you? Because you just selectively just want it from this source, and that source is denying you. It's a closed door. It's negative. It's toxic. It's not willing to step up and be a support to you, but you still want it, and you're denying all the other support over here. Because that happens as well when we get our mind stuck on having something a certain way. But we need to become more liquid in life, more fluid, you know, so that we can take the form and rock and roll with the punches and the ups and the downs. And what do I have right now? I'm going to work with that and make it to my best ability. Okay, I wanted love from you. I wanted support from you. You're not giving it, but you know what? I do have love and support in my life right here. I'm gonna enjoy that over here and let this one go. It's all right. You aren't going to be a part of that for me. That's fine. Acceptance. And I keep saying this in my videos lately. Accept, accept, accept. Because some people, a lot of times, we're resisting once we had our mind made up. And then are we then putting ourselves in a lonely position because we're trying so hard to seek that fulfillment, that connection from someone that's not willing to give it to us? This is what happens when we are chasing the narcissist, when we're trying to be patient with the narcissist, when we think the narcissist is going to eventually change and wake up and see and feel the love that we have for them and actually reciprocate. This is what happens. And more years are just going to go by and you're still not going to have that void filled by your partner. And then there's times when it's just internal. We have our own brokenness that needs to be healed and we're looking for external things to fill it. And that's making us lonely because no other person can give us what we're supposed to be giving ourselves. So if it's something voided within you that only you can give yourself, but you're constantly seeking that from external, then yeah, you're going to go through a whole bunch of people before you find out, you know what, it wasn't their job to do that for me. I would have gone to the end of the world switching out people and I still wouldn't have gotten it because no one else can give that to me. I have to give that to myself. So that's something for you to discern, meditate on, and figure out. Are you feeling lonely because it's within you that it's something you need to be working on? Okay, there's a separation. There's a disconnect from yourself. So when you're disconnected like that, what do you need to do? Get reconnected, and that requires what? A commitment. So what can you commit to at the time to help you get out of this loneliness? What are you going to put your energy into and connect to? You need to reconnect and commit to yourself, perhaps? Do you need to reconnect or commit to the love you have present in your house or in your life and not what you don't have? You know, because like I said, there's billions of people in the world. So there isn't a cookie cutter answer. But as I said, I can throw out some general things, some typical things. That's usually the case. You know, and if you feel like the shoe fit, then you can wear it and that's your starting point or somewhere that you can work from. Because this is the whole thing. You want to commit to what's going to get you out of the loneliness instead of committing to what's keeping you there. So if you want to commit to the sadness, you want to commit to the sorrow, you want to commit to feeling inadequate and abandoned and rejected and outcast and uninvited and unreciprocated and unlovable. You want to commit to life sucks, I'm all alone, I'll never have this. You want to commit to negativity. That's not going to help you out of your loneliness. So check your commitments too. Because if you want to reconnect, you don't want to make a deeper connection to your negativity, perhaps. You know, you can be aware of it. There's nothing wrong with being aware of it and say, okay, well, you know what? I need to work out of this because I don't want to stay in this place and I certainly don't want to go deeper into this place. And that's your perceptions. And then the other big lie that loneliness convinces us of is that we're the only one. We're the only one feeling this very typical human experience and feeling. Do you really think, and billions of people in the world, that you're the only one that feels lonely? That's what loneliness will trick you into thinking. And then on the deepest end, is going into depression and then hopelessness. And then it gets even darker where people get suicidal at that point. I have nothing to live for, not even themselves. Because living for themselves wasn't enough. So I don't want you guys to fall into that. I don't want you to fall into that. There's way too much help and support out here that can be had. Hotlines you can call, and probably people right there in your sphere that would love to be a support to you if you're not in your tunnel vision. And then even if you don't feel like you have that, there is so many ways now to get connected and find support group and get into counseling and get into therapy and get coaching. There, you can intersect that. You don't have to just sit in that and let it grow and fester into your life. We have to be proactive about these things, and that's why I'm making videos like this. Yes, everybody feels lonely sometime. But understanding it, getting to the root of it, and then getting proactive about getting out of it for whatever the reason or reasons are for you. Okay? You don't have to feel loneliness in your life because you're not alone. If you have yourself, number one, you're never alone. But to a lot of people, themselves aren't enough. And that's an issue. That's an issue because there's way too much power to be given to someone else. Someone should be adding to your happiness, not being your happiness. All right? So, figure it out. Figure it out what is at the root of it. Are you antisocial? Have you become a hermit? Are you closing out opportunities and experiences and possible connections in your life? How do you have your life structured? Are you in your purpose? Because all our purposes are going to be connecting with other people, using our gifts to connect and help mankind. That's what our purposes do. It's going to uplift mankind in some kind of way. Does it mean it's this massive thing like Bill Gates creating a software that becomes a household name? It could just be you were meant to raise these children and make them good human beings in the earth. Yeah, that's helping mankind as well. People are on this grand scale, and that's fine as well. All right. So just, replay this video if you have to. Take you some notes. But the loneliness is a disconnection, and it means your needs are not being met somehow and somewhere. Internally, externally, both. And this is a subjective perception that you need to reconnect and commit to the things that are going to get you out of that. All right? Get you out of that separation. You just have to have that awareness to be able to figure that out. Okay? And if you need help with that, I do help people in coaching. You can go to my website, LakiaCrawford.com, and schedule a session. I do over the phone, I do Skypes, I do FaceTime, I do email coaching because writing is very therapeutic. I've written 4 wonderful books. They're available through my website. You will get a signed copy, and they're also available through Amazon and Barnes & Nobles and CreateSpace.com. Those copies won't be signed. You can get the ebook or the hard copies. Something to read. even while you're feeling loneliness, to learn more about yourself and your shadow work and relationships and psychology. I highly recommend. I have a support group on Facebook, guys. Lakia Reflection and Progression Crawford. I know the devastation and the loneliness after narcissistic abuse. Come to the support group and meet like-minded people. Network with them. We lift each other up. We laugh. And find other support groups. There's meetups that you can do. Meetup.com. People have like interests, and oh, I love to go hiking. There's a meetup group for that. Oh, I like happy hours. There's a meetup group for that. Oh, I like to sew. There's a meetup group for that. And find them in your local areas. And then if it's with yourself that you really need to be doing your shadow work with, start spending some time with yourself. Start learning more about yourself. Do you even know yourself? Become your best friend. Whatever you think you should know about your best friend, if it was an external person, you should definitely know that about yourself. And work on getting yourself happy. Because if you're not fulfilled within yourself, that's already a red sign or a red flag. Okay? So if this video resonates with you, go ahead and like. Feel free to subscribe, hit the bell so that you're notified. I do upload videos quite frequently, guys, okay? You're not alone. You're not alone in loneliness, and I really want you to take that away from this message. You are not alone. This is what every human being will experience, okay? But there are certainly things that you can do, to get yourself out of that place, all right? Be brave enough to do that work and love yourself enough to go ahead and do that. All right, guys. So until next time, be safe and take care.